Hello, this is Dr. Morales, and in today's video, we're going to go over a quadratic functions practice test. For this test, we're going to be using the best Algebra 1 EOC Mathematics reference sheet. This is a reference sheet given by the state of Florida. So before we start the test, we're going to talk about a little bit what a quadratic is. So quadratic function is a function or an equation with an exponent of 2. So every time you see the word quadratic, look for that exponent of 2. And in the reference sheet, they give you three different um, forms of the function of the quadratic. Okay, so we have these three. So we have the first one is called the standard form. Then we have the second one is the vertex form. And the last one is called the factor form. So every time you see any of these forms, they're talking about quadratic functions. All right, so let's look at question one. Question one says, what is the vertex of y equals 5 times x plus 7 squared plus 2? Okay, so the vertex in a quadratic function, if you were to graph a quadratic, and you will have something with this shape. It's called a parabola. So the vertex is the bottom part. Okay, so it's the bottom before the turning point of this function. As you see, this graph is going down and then it turns. So that is called the vertex. Now, in this function that they give you, this one they give you is the second one, which is the vertex form, which is actually going to help you find the vertex pretty quick because it is within the formula. So what the reference sheet doesn't tell you is which of those variables represents the vertex. So in this type of function, the vertex is h, k. Okay, so remember the formula is a times x minus h squared plus k. So every time they have that, you're going to have to look at whatever is being subtracted from the x is your x value of the vertex, and whatever is being added at the end is your y value of the vertex. So here you have a 7 that is being added. It's not being subtracted, it's being added, which means that that 7 was originally negative because negative, if you subtract the negative, becomes a positive. So that's going to be negative 7. And then that 2 outside is your y value. So negative 7, 2, which is letter D. Oh, no, not letter D, letter A. Letter A, negative 7, 2. Letter A. Okay, let's look at number 2. What is the axis of symmetry of the function f of x equals 4 times x plus 3 squared plus 5? Okay, axis of symmetry. So we're going to go back to this picture over here that I did in question 1. So the axis of symmetry is an imaginary line that cuts your parabola into two equal pieces. So if you were to fold these two pieces, they will land on top of each other. So that's why it says the parabola has symmetry. So the axis of symmetry, as you can see, that line passes exactly through the vertex. So the axis of symmetry is the x value of the vertex. So we're going to look at this function. Let's want to find the vertex, and then your x value, that's going to be your axis of symmetry. Remember, your vertex is hk, and h is the number that's being subtracted from the x. In this case, it's being added, therefore the number is negative, and k is 5. But all I need is my x value, which is negative 3. So therefore, the axis of symmetry, x equals negative 3. Remember, axis of symmetry is a line, therefore it's an equation, x equals negative 3. Okay, okay, let's go on question 3. Let me erase this. Okay, on question 3 says, what are the domain and range of y equals negative 8, x minus 9 squared plus 2? So domain is the x values that I can use for this formula, for this function, and the range is the y values. So I am going to draw a little image of what this could look like. and I'm gonna need the vertex. The vertex we know is 9, 2. So if I put the vertex over here on my graph, it's going to be 9 units to the right, 2 units up, but it's gonna be somewhere here. And then I'm gonna pay attention to this -8, which means my graph is going to up and down. So it's going to be like that. See, I'm just trying to do a little sketch to give me an idea of how my problem is going to look like. And that helps me because I know that the range is going to be, remember, range is up and down from +2 all the way down because my graph is going down. So my range is going to be y is less than or equal to +2. So I'm going to look for that first. Y is the range? No. It says greater than -9. No, that would be if it was opening. Actually, -9 is the x value. So no, that's not correct. And it says y is less than 2. So this one is working so far. Now let's look at the domain. The domain is going to be, you look at for left and right. So to the right, I have an arrow, and to the left, I have another arrow. So that means that's going to include all the positive number and all the negative number. So that is all real numbers. So therefore, the answer is B. Okay, let's go on question 4. What information can be determined from the quadratic function f of x equals -2/5 times x plus 2 squared minus 9? Okay, we already know how to pull out the vertex from here, so let's pull it out. So it's going to be -2, -9. That's my vertex. And now let's read the choices to see which one is going to be the information that is correct. The vertex is -9, -2. No, it's not true. The vertex is -2, -9, and the graph opens downwards. Okay, let's see. I know the vertex is correct. Does it open downwards? Let's look at see if it has a negative in front, and yes, it does. So therefore, my answer is B. But I'm going to check the other two just in case. The vertex is -9, -2. No, that is not correct. The vertex is -2, -9, and the graph opens upwards. So no, that's not correct. So the answer is B. Okay, number 5. Which function which function is not quadratic? Okay, remember quadratic means exponent 2. So I'm going to look at each of these and find the one that does not have the exponent of 2. So x squared minus 4x, yeah, that looks in standard form, so that is quadratic. Now letter B, so I have x times x plus 6 to the second power. I see the exponent 2, but I see that x outside. So what happened is you have x, and then you have x plus 6 square. So if you were to FOIL this, you will have to do the middle, and this will give you x squared plus 12x plus 36, and then you'll have to multiply the x outside. And when you multiply this x outside, x times x second to the second power is x to the third power plus, so this one is not also, it's not a quadratic, so this will be the answer. Let's check the other two. You have -4 times x plus 9 squared, so this one works, and -1x squared minus 3, so this one works. So the answer is B. Okay, the last question. What are the coordinates of the vertex of the quadratic function -2x squared minus 8x plus 1? Okay, so this is in standard form. We need the vertex, so I need to know my formula. So in order to find the vertex in a function, in a quadratic function that is in standard form, your formula to find the x value is going to be -b over 2a. Okay, -b, if you look at the reference sheet, the b is the number that's in the middle multiplying the x. So that's going to be -8. So -8 and -b, that gives you +8 over 2 is part of the formula multiplied by a. A is the number that multiplies the x squared, that's -2. So that gives you 8 over -4, which gives you -2. So this is your x value. At this point, if you need to find the y value, you have to plug in this -2 wherever the x is, and then that'll give you your y value. But here, if you look at the choices, there's only one answer that has -2 as the x coordinate. So the answer is letter D, so I don't have to work it out. So I hope you understand this video, and I'll see you in the next one.